Begin transmission.
Hello agents, and welcome back to Warframe. Today I'm doing an advanced guide to the Angstrum, which is basically a Corpus rocket shotgun pistol. Yes, it is as bad as it sounds. Naturally, being a rocket pistol, it shoots little pellets that explode on impact and deal high amounts of explosive damage. While it is a charge weapon like the Ogress, the Angstrum does have some unique mechanics as far as to how the individual rounds act and how you actually go about using it. For starters, when the Angstrum charges up, you can't hold the charge forever. Once it's reached maximum charge, it will immediately fire a burst. So this does add a little bit of skill to the Angstrum. Second off, the more you charge the Angstrum, the more rounds in the magazine it will use in the burst. So if I charge it for a third of the time, it'll shoot only one. If I charge it up for 2/3, 2, and of course if I charge it up all the way, it'll fire all three at once. What's interesting to note is that if you fire multiple rockets at once, it will add a spread to the rockets fired. This is a bit of a double-edged sword. While the spread does make it worse at range, the spread does make it the best pistol for AoE bombing because of the blast radius of the individual rockets. Of course, as with every other explosive weapon, you can kill yourself with it. However, it is slightly less likely to kill you due to the fact that the blast radius on each pellet is smaller, so you can actually use it slightly closer to yourself than most other explosive weapons. But keep in mind, if you shoot too close, this thing will tear through a rhino with full iron skin and basically turn you into jello and force you to revive. It's a little annoying, but you know, it's kind of a balancing factor considering how freaking overpowered this pistol is. One fun technique that I like to do is to either jump off of something and while charging up and then fire it, or better yet, use Zephyr's Tailwind and then on the way up charge it and aim, and then at the peak of the Tailwind I fire the Angstrum with a full burst. It's really quite a nice effect. And another fun way to use the Angstrum, of course, is to use Hall of Mirrors, because the amount of rockets gets quite ridiculous. So anyways, as far as the amount of Forma I would put into this weapon, I would say about 3 to 4 Forma should do it. And of course, when you're forming this weapon, definitely get rid of the D polarity it comes with, because the D polarity is absolutely useless. Alright, as for mods, you're going to want to first start off with the usual setup: Hornet Strike, Lethal Torrent, Barrel Diffusion. These 3 mods are pretty much no-brainers when it comes to pistols. There's no pistol where you wouldn't not want to have these on. Next, you're going to want to go for Quick Draw. And this is pretty important because you're going to be reloading a lot when using the Angstrum, so this will definitely minimize the amount of time that you'll spend reloading. Next, you're going to want Pistol Ammo Mutation. This is a utility mod that is really useful in the Angstrum because ever since its ammo cap was nerfed to 30 rounds, that basically means you can only get 10 bursts before you have to go grab some sniper ammo, which is a bit of a bummer, but of course putting on Pistol Ammo Mutation basically gives it infinite ammo, like before. And finally, for the elemental damage, you're going to want to go for corrosive damage. Now the reason why you wouldn't want to go for explosive damage is corrosive damage scales much better to the end game because there is no faction that actually resists corrosive damage. Now of course corrosive damage
doesn't always have a bonus against certain enemies, although it does tend to do very well against heavy enemies. But it does this. It has no penalties across the board. There is not a single enemy that resists corrosive damage, so that's why it's one of the best. The second reason being that the corrosive proc is really good for the endgame because lowering enemies' armor basically increases your damage output. But of course, you don't really need to worry about procs too much on the Angstrum. You want to just go for straight up damage because this is a weapon that tries to insta-kill things. So, you know, no sense in proccing a dead body, you know? So of course the best mods for corrosive are Pistol Pestilence, Pathogen Rounds, and Convulsion. And the Pistol Pestilence is just there to add that extra little bit of corrosive damage. The status chance is really only a bonus, to be honest. So overall, this build should be good against any faction, and definitely is endgame viable. For a while there, it was the endgame as far as I was concerned. Because this weapon just outputs silly amounts of damage. It does something like 15k damage per rocket. So, and with the multi-shot, it spits out something like 9 rockets per burst. So that is a lot of damage. and haven't quite crunched the numbers, but when I was using this thing, I was able to go 40 minutes into the highest Dark Sector survival and still be able to one-shot things. And it wasn't until the enemies hit like level 120 when I had to start using 2 bursts. Anyhow, that about wraps it up for the Angstrum. I hope you guys found this guide useful. Be sure to leave in the comments which weapon you'd like me to make a guide on next. Anyhow, thanks so much for watching. This is InvaderMEEN signing off.
If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to share it with your friends. Thanks for watching. This is InvaderMEEN signing out. End transmission.